Call this meeting back to order, and we are in question period. Further questions from the floor? Where'd Bob go? Hi.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, just a couple of things I'd like to ask about the pavement improvement project. The money that was going to be spent on that was, as I understand, coming from the gas tax reserve fund, for which there was already approval. Is that correct?
I think what we moved forward was a request that the funding be defined, and that it would probably be a number of things. It could be borrowing, slag fund, or gas tax. Is that what combination?
Yes. Or a combination.
Or a combination of the group.
And please forgive me if I heard wrong, but what I thought I heard Mr. Allen say was there was an expectation that there will be conservation from the water meters, and because there would be some extra money from the implementation of those water meters and some extra money coming back from that, or that wasn't going to be spent, that you could go forward with this. He called it a risk. He said there was a little bit of an increased risk. And what I'm wondering, Mr. Mayor, is the ad that was in the paper, I was a little bit confused about some of the numbers there, because apparently only residential water meters now are going to involve about 65%, maximum 65% of the total consumption of the water. It would be extremely unrealistic, in my estimation, if I could calculate it, for residents to actually be able to save 25% of the water, which I'm assuming this pavement improvement venture, you're banking on there being a substantial amount of savings from the water meters being put in and residents saving that amount of money.
To fund 68th Street?
I'm just hearing what Mr. Allen
I think
said.
there is another element to 68th Street that comes into play. If we develop the West End, my understanding from Mr. Allen is that we'll be expecting conservation levels from any businesses or organizations that move in there. That gives us some potential at this point to utilize the piping that we already have on 68th.
Okay.
The other thing on 68th as a fallback position, if the development of the West End is extensive, is that we have road allowance, and so that we can lay additional pipes along the side of the road, which would save us playing around with what we hope will be a 20-year paving job.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess what I was just wondering was if you're making a risk on spending money in that project from the hoped for savings that you're going to receive from the residents being water metered. That's what I really have I don't understand that.
Mr. Allen, we'll see if we can give you a little thumbnail on this.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, so what happens is the inside of the sewer pipe will look like this. What happens is the flow comes in like this and it flows like this primarily most of the time. What happens is we hit a peak demand, just like on our water system, we hit a peak demand, and our whole water system, like I mentioned earlier on, is based off of 1 day of the year. 1 day, and that would be, I think last year was based on August 11th.
And as I understand,
at 5 p.m.
for that it was July the 6th or July the 5th.
Yeah, I'm just paraphrasing a date. I don't have the report in front of me, Mr. Mayor. Let me take this date out of here. I'll just call it 1 day out of the year. So it's just like the Detroit freeway. If you go down the Detroit freeway, if you're driving through Detroit, you'll see that there's 12, and I shouldn't say the number, there's multiple lanes of traffic. When you're driving down there in rush hour, you can't move. But when you go there on Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock when I was coming through, I could have went across all these lanes of traffic and not even looked over my shoulder because there was nobody on the road. But they built it for this 1 day at that one peak hour. So that's what you build your water system for and your sewer system. So what we're talking about in here is on your sewer pipes, if everybody flushes their toilet, they flush the toilet, they turn the dishwasher on, they drain the tub, and you do your laundry, and you wash your hands, and it's the dinner hour, you might see lines filling the pipe like this. Through conservation, if we start conserving this, the engineers have said to us also within this best engineering practices, leave 25% freeboard inside your pipe. Okay? So what they're saying to us is you can take a little bit more risk. So I was talking about risk, you can go to 85%. So therefore you'd fill your pipe to here. But with conservation, you can bring this line down and you can be in here. So that allows you capacity for the future. As the community grows smarter, and it's statistically proven through science that water meters and conservation will actually reduce that. It allows you to build capacity in your current infrastructure without adding infrastructure. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to make it further investment. What you're doing is you're investing in your water meters and you're investing into your conservation messaging, and you're investing into that without putting more bricks and mortar in the ground. And that's the beauty of the water meter piece. That's what our engineers with their masters in engineering, their engineering degrees, which they stamp their reports, Mr. Mayor. They stamp their reports with a seal, that they ensure that report. They are ensuring that their reports are correct. And if anybody wants to call them to question, if you have the accreditation, you can call them to question at their board of their peers, and you can call them out there. And then that's when you can have their license pulled. But you've seen in all the reports, Mr. Mayor, that there's been multiple engineers that have reviewed these documents, and they've all put their seal on them. So what we're saying to you, Mr. Mayor, is you're getting insurance-covered reports that are suggesting these are factually based on the science. So that's what I'm talking about, Mr. Mayor.
As I understand, some of the reports, the engineering reports that have been online for us to view, say really that the water conservation is going to be anywhere from 6 to about 16%, not 25. And residents who are only they're only using 65% of the water that's out there cannot possibly, we would have to reduce our consumption by over 40% to bring it down to a 25% total reduction in water. That's impossible. We are over 40%, you're expecting us to do that. So I'm just wondering, and again, I know you've studied this stuff and you looked, but is there any way that there is something that has been missed? Because to me, the numbers don't add up. Right. And then the second question I was going to ask is, Mr. Mayor, would there be a dollar limit that the council can approve for city projects? Like, is there a limit, or can you approve any amount of dollars for?
There are limitations on what council can spend in any one project, Mr. Allen.
Mr. Mayor, this is when the budget is presented to you at the beginning of the year. If you're not borrowing and you're utilizing funds that the city currently has, you can approve through basically through the process, through the budgeting process. You don't have a limitation on that. You can't spend more than you have, but you can spend what you have.
Right. So that's the answer. We can spend what we have. If we have to go to borrowing, there are regulations where we have to go to the public.
Okay. Thank you.
And further questions? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn. Sorry, Gary,
No, it's fine.